Good morning, students. Today we'll continue with the same chapter, French Revolution. Let's recall what we have studied in this lesson. Recap. In 1774, Louis XVI becomes King of France, faces empty treasury and growing discontent with society of the old regime. In 1789, convocation of States General, Third State forms National Assembly, the Bastille is stormed, and peasant revolts in the countryside. In 1791, a constitution is framed to limit the powers of the king and to guarantee basic rights to men and citizens. Let's see what happened next. War against Prussia and Austria. The situation in France continued to be tense during the following years. Although Louis XVI has signed the constitution, he entered into secret negotiations with the King of Prussia. Rulers of the other neighboring countries too were worried by the developments in France and made plans to send troops to put down the events that had been taking place. But before this could happen, the National Assembly voted in April 1792 to declare war against Prussia and Austria. Thousands of volunteers joined the army. They saw this as a war of the people against kings and aristocracies all over Europe. Among the patriotic songs they sang was the Marseillaise. The Marseillaise is now the national anthem of France. Jacobin Club. Large section of the population were convinced that the revolution had to be carried further, as the Constitution of 1791 gave political rights only to the richer section of society. Political clubs became an important part to discuss government policies and plan their own forms of action. The most successful of these clubs was Jacobin Club. Yes, the members of the Jacobin Club belonged mainly to the less prosperous sections of society. They included small shopkeepers, artisans such as shoemakers, pastry cooks, watchmakers, printers, as well as servants, and daily wage workers. Daily wage workers, the workers, those who are working on their daily wages. Their leader was Maximilien Robespierre. Yes, the Jacobin Club, it was led by Maximilien Robespierre. Sans-glotters, those without knee breeches. They were known as sans-glotters, which means those without knee breeches, as they wanted to show themselves apart from the fashionable sections of society, especially nobles who wore knee breeches. It was a way to proclaiming the end of the power wielded by the bearers of knee breeches. That's why these Jacobin members were known as sans-glotters, which means those without knee breeches. France abolishes monarchy. In the summer of 1792, the Jacobins planned an insurrection of a large number of Prussians who were angered by the short supplies and high price of food. On the morning of August 10, they stormed the palace of the Tuileries. They massacred the king's guard and held the king himself as hostage for several hours. Later, the assembly voted to imprison the royal family. Elections were held. From now on, all men of 21 years and above, regardless of wealth, got the right to vote. Yes, from now on, all the men of 21 years and above, they got the right to vote without any discrimination. France becomes republic. The new elected assembly was called the Convention. On 21st September 1792, it abolished the monarchy and declared France a republic. As you know, a republic is a form of government where the people elect their government, including the head of the government. And there is no hereditary monarchy. Then Louis XVI was sentenced to death by a court on the charge of treason. which means betrayal of one's country or government. So on 21st January 1793, he was executed publicly. The Queen Marie Antoinette met the same fate shortly after. Reign of Terror. Yes, the Robespierre reign were known as the Reign of Terror. Why? We'll see. The period from 1793 to 1794 is referred to as a Reign of Terror. Robespierre followed a policy of severe control and punishment. All those whom he saw as being enemies of the Republic, it can be nobles, clergy, members of other political parties, even members of his own party who did not agree with his methods, were arrested, imprisoned, and then tried to the Revolutionary Tribunal. If the court found them guilty, they were guillotined. Guillotine is a device consisting of two poles and a blade with which a person is beheaded. Yes, and Robespierre government issued laws placing a maximum ceiling on wages and prices. Meat and bread were rationed. Peasants were forced to transport their grains on the cities and sell it on the fixed price by the government. The use of more expensive white flour was forbidden. All citizens were required to eat the same equality bread. Churches were shut down and their buildings converted into barracks or offices. Robespierre pursued his policies so strictly that even his supporters began to demand moderation. Finally, he was convicted by a court in July 1794, arrested, and on the next day sent to the guillotine. A directory rules France. Yes, the fall of the Jacobin government allowed the wealthier middle class to seize power. A new constitution was introduced which denied the vote of non-proprietary section of society. It include it provided for two elected legislative councils. These then appointed a directory, an executive made up of 5 members. A directory, it is an executive made up of 5 members. This was meant as a safeguard against the concentration of power in a one-man executive as under the Jacobins. However, the directors often clashed with the legislative councils, who then thought to dismiss them. The political instability of the Directory paved the way for the rise of a military dictator, Napoleon Bonaparte. Yes, so till this we have seen the changes in the government from monarchy to republic, then from republic to dictatorship. Through all these changes in the forms of government, the ideals of freedom, of equality before the law and of fraternity remained inspiring ideals that motivated political movements in France and the rest of Europe during the following century. Did women have a revolution? Yes, although we have seen how men revolted for their rights, but did women have a revolution? Yes. From the very beginning, women were active participants in the events which brought about so many important changes in French society. They hoped that their involvement would pressurize the revolutionary government to introduce measures to improve their lives. Most women of the third estate had to work for a living. They worked as a seamstress or laundress, sold flowers, fruits, and vegetables at the market, or were employed as domestic servants in the houses of prosperous people. Most women did not have access to education or job training. Only daughters of nobles or wealthier members of the third estate would study at a convent, after which their families arranged a marriage for them. Working women had also took care of their families, and that is cook, fetch water, queue for the bread, and look after the children. Their wages were lower than those of men. Yes, they got less wages than the men. So there is no equality in wages, their working condition or their living condition is poor. In order to discuss and voice their interests, women started their own political clubs and newspapers. About 60 women's clubs came up in different French cities. The Society of Revolutionary and Republican Women was the most famous of them. One of their main demand was that women enjoy the same political rights as men. Women were disappointed that the Constitution of 1791 reduced them to passive citizens. They demanded the right to vote, to be elected to the assembly, and to hold political office. Only then they felt their interests be represented in the new government. The revolutionary government did introduce laws that helped improve the lives of women. Together with the creation of state schools, schooling was made compulsory for all girls. Their, fa- their father could no longer force them into marriage against their will. Marriage was made into a contract entered into freely and registered under civil law. Women's struggle for equal political rights, however, continued. During the Reign of Terror, the new government issued laws ordering closure of women's clubs and banning their political activities. Many prominent women were arrested and number of them executed. Women's movement for voting rights and equal wages continued through the next 200 years in many countries of the world. The fight for the vote was carried out through an international suffrage movement during the late 19th and early 20th century. The example of the political activities of French women during the revolutionary years was kept alive as an inspiring memory. It was finally in 1946 that women in France won the right to vote. Yes, finally in 1946 in France, women they won the right to vote. The abolition of slavery. Yes, this is one of the most revolutionary social reforms of the Jacobin regime was the abolition of slavery in the French colonies. The colonies in the Caribbean, Martinique, Guadeloupe, and San Domingo were important suppliers of commodities such as tobacco, indigo, sugar, and coffee. But the Europeans they were not ready to go and work in distant and unfamiliar lands meant a shortage of labor on the plantation. So this was met by a triangular slave trade between Europe, Africa and the Americas. Yes. The slave trade began in the 17th century. French merchants sailed from the ports of Bordeaux or Nantes to the African coast where they bought slaves from the local chief of tribe. The slaves were packed tightly into ships for the 3 months long voyage across the Atlantic to the Caribbean. Yes, so they were started from the France, then they reached to African coast, then from there they were collecting the slaves, then via Atlantic to the Caribbean. There they were sold to plantation owners. The exploitation of labor made it possible to meet the growing demand in European markets for sugar, coffee and indigo. Port cities like Bordeaux and Nantes owed their economic prosperity to the flourishing slave trade. Throughout the 18th century, there was little criticism of slavery in France. The National Assembly held long debates about whether the rights of men should be extended to all French subjects, including those in the colonies, but it did not pass any laws, fearing opposition from businessmen whose income depended upon the slave trade. It was finally the convention which in 1794 legislated to free all slaves in the French overseas possessions. This, however, turned out to be a short-term measure. After 10 years later, Europeans reintroduced slavery. Yes, Napoleon Bonaparte, a dictator of France, he reintroduced slavery during his reign. Plantation owners understood their freedom as including the right to enslave African Negroes in pursuit of their economic interest. Slavery was finally abolished in French colonies in 1848. Yes, finally in 1848 the slavery was abolished. The revolution and everyday life. The revolution in everyday life. Yes. Can politics change the clothes people wear, the language they speak, or the books they read? The year following 1789 in France saw many such changes in the lives of men, women, and children. The revolutionary government took it upon themselves to pass laws that would change the ideals of liberty and equality into everyday practice. Yes, one important law that came into effect soon after the storming of the Bastille in the summer of 1789 was the abolition of censorship. Yes, in the old regime, all written materials and cultural activities like books, newspaper, plays could be published or performed only after they had been approved by the censors of the king. Yes, they could be performed only after when they get the approval from the king. Now, the Declaration of the Rights of Men and Citizens proclaimed freedom of speech and expression as a natural right. Newspaper, pamphlets, books, and printed pictures flooded the towns of France from where they traveled rapidly into the countryside. They all described and discussed the events and changes taking place in France. Freedom of press also meant that opposing views of events could be expressed. Plays, songs, and festive processions attracted large numbers of people. This was one way they could grasp an identity with ideas such as liberty or justice that political philosophers wrote about at length in texts which only a handful of educated people could read. Conclusion. In 1804, Napoleon Bonaparte crowned himself Emperor of France. He set out to conquer neighboring European countries, dispossessing dynasties and creating kingdoms where he placed members of his own family. Napoleon saw his role as a modernizer of Europe. He introduced many laws such as protection of private property and a uniform system of weights and measures provided by the decimal system. Initially, many saw Napoleon as a liberator who would bring freedom for the people. But soon, the Napoleonic army came to be viewed everywhere as an invading force. He was finally defeated at Waterloo in 1815. But many of his measures that carried the revolutionary ideas of liberty and modern laws to other parts of Europe had an impact on people long after Napoleon had left. The ideas of liberty and democratic rights were the most important legacy of the French Revolution. These spread from France to the rest of Europe during the 19th century, where feudal systems were abolished. Colonized people reworked the ideas of freedom from bondage into their movements to create a sovereign nation state. Yes. With this, we end this chapter, French Revolution. Hope you understood. Thank you and take care.